Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by Capital One. Exciting slate of games today on CBS. Texans and Bears should be a fun one from a fantasy perspective. Chiefs and Colts, we'll see if the Colts get their first win against the juggernaut Kansas City offense. Bengals at the Jets. Who would have thought that the Bengals would be winless coming into that one? And then what should be the game of the week, you got the Bills at the Dolphins. Two undefeated teams, AFC East bragging rights on the line. Can Tua be in the same conversation as Josh Allen? Break it down for us now. It's our CBS Sports NFL Insider Josina Anderson joining us live from Miami Gardens where this game is going to take place. And Josina, we know the big storyline for Buffalo is they are missing a lot of key players on defense. No Jordan Poyer, no Micah Hyde. It's just going to be a very mashed unit against a very hot offense right now. How will the Bills step up and replace those guys in the back end of the defense?
And you know what's very unfortunate for this Bills defense is that they're coming into this game only allowing 8.5 points. I mean, that is insane. And so you're really looking forward to having all of your weapons being able to kind of hold up that pace, especially when you're facing an offense that's averaging 36 points per game, which is the highest in the league. So now they're coming into this game already missing Dane Jackson. We saw him get taken out of that last game against the Titans on a stretcher. And then you find out they're missing both of their starting safeties in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. That's crazy, right? And then now with Dane Jackson out, what that means is for the first time this season, and even in the Leslie Frazier era with Sean McDermott, they're going to be starting two rookie corners in Christian Benford and Kaiir Elam. And here's the interesting thing about that is that Christian Benford is the 6th rounder out of Villanova. He was already starting opposite Dane Jackson. And it's the 1st rounder out of Florida, Kaiir Elam, who was not the one starting, though they were getting opposite reps. But I was getting the reaction from a Bills source yesterday just saying, how do you guys feel about not only entering this game with two rookie corners, but having to do that against Josh Allen and this offense? And what they said is that this is a secondary that has been getting experience as far as getting the reps in practice. They're not showing that it's too big for the moment. They feel like they can handle it. So they're actually not necessarily afraid of that. And then when it comes to replacing the two starting safeties, in Poyer and Micah Hyde, you have Jaquan Johnson, you have DeMar Hamlin. And the reason why that they're not necessarily as worried as they should be is because that combo of safeties has been starting throughout the entire preseason and getting the starting reps in practice when Jordan Poyer was out because of a contract situation and then came back into practice and then got injured. And then the same thing with Micah Hyde, he got injured as well. So what I'm hearing is that they feel like these guys have the reps via preseason and in practice, and it's all about getting the first series jitters out. But so far, the coaches feel like the moment is not too big for anybody having to deal with coming in via injuries today.
You know, we talk about the injuries, and last week it worked out really well for Tua Tagovailoa, taking on a Ravens secondary that was really beat up. Now he gets a Bills secondary that's really beat up, but he was just absolutely electric at the end of that game, finishing with over 400 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. How will he do for an encore today against his Buffalo defense?
Well, you remember I was at that game in Baltimore, and it was absolutely insane just watching it on social media, everyone critiquing Tua, and then to come back and toss 5 passing touchdowns in the second half was absolutely incredible to watch. And I had an opportunity to speak to Dolphin safety Javon Holland about it, and I just wanted to kind of read his quote here because I thought it really is indicative of the support that Tua has in this locker room, despite the social media chatter. And he said, I always believed that Tua was able to lead this team and take us to the next level. You saw that in the second half, how he absolutely orchestrated multiple scores. That's exactly what people have been asking for. And, you know, it's kind of like, hey, I can do it. I showed you guys. And even though he's humble and even though he's quiet, I'll be cocky for him because we believe in him. So that is the type of support that Tua has in the locker room. And Javon also told me when they came back and just kind of celebrated in the locker room that everybody was juiced. And it was really cool, even though they saw it out on the field, to kind of break it down and see that he had 469 passing yards, which are career highs, obviously the 6 touchdowns, and the passer rating 124.1, which was also a career high. So Tua right now is definitely on a high after that game, but as one Bill source said to me last night, it's all about consistency. Can you do it again? And that's what they're going to try to stop, even though they're shorthanded.
So it'll be fun to see. One of the best photos I've seen so far this season was Tua in the locker room with Dan Marino right behind him. So it was another thing that made the rounds of social media Dan Marino supporting Tua Tagovailoa. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. The Dolphins defense, we know that there's some injury concerns there. Xavier Howard missing practice during this week, and a very tough test taking on Josh Allen and the Bills. So how did the Dolphins contain Josh Allen right now, who looks like the favorite to win the MVP?
Well, it's definitely not going to be an easy task. As a matter of fact, as you was stating right there, I talked to Javon Holland and just kind of asked them, how do you feel like you're prepared going up against Josh Allen after just doing the whole thing against Lamar Jackson? And he said, well, they're actually, even though they're both running quarterbacks, they're actually different in terms of the schemes that they're in and the type of runners that they are. You know, looking at Lamar Jackson as more of a scat back as people and players are coming out onto the field. Looking at Josh Allen as fast, but more of that power, large guy. So he said, you know, that's the difference in trying to adjust, and then also having to think in your head that even though they're running quarterback, you still have to maintain the rules in your head for how you're dealing with the quarterback and how they're protected via the rules as well. So a lot of things to think about. We're still trying to wait officially for some of the guys to see if they're going to be able to play, as far as Xavier Howard, and on the offensive side, Teron Armstead and those guys. But what they told me is that they're absolutely coming into this game with a lot of confidence, even though they didn't play their best. And Javon Holland said it's because after not playing your best and coming through that adversity, that showed us that we can overcome all of that and still pull it out. And matter of fact, because of that, they said that they're coming into this game with even more confidence. So I feel like from an injury standpoint and all that I just said, the momentum is on the Miami side, but we'll see how it plays out as far as the game, because Leslie Frazier's defense, despite injuries in the past, have continued to show the depth on that defense and the fact that they can step up and have that next man mentality.
Should be fun also to see how Stephon Diggs does for an encore after the 3-touchdown game Monday night against the Titans. Josina, also give us an update. Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox expected to play. Are they going to be 100%? And just how much attention is Diggs going to get, knowing that he's still the alpha in this receiving corps?
Well, again, you know, I had that conversation with Holland yesterday, too, and just trying to understand what is their mentality in defending these Bills wide receivers when you go below Stephon Diggs. And you're thinking about some of the best wide receiver groups in the league, whether it's obviously on their own offense with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Is it T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? Is it Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow? And Javon Holland was quick to remind me that though everybody pays attention to Stephon Diggs, you know, they have wide receivers that can fill every role, from the scat wide receiver to the big body and Kumaro and those guys. So they feel like they have everybody that fills a role specific to this offense. Now we'll wait for the official word on Gabe Davis, but they're looking out for everybody, not just one particular player today.
Should be a fun one, Josina. We look forward to hearing from you throughout the day here on CBS Sports HQ. Thank you for your report pre-game here on Fantasy Football Today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.